Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to my daily meal planner. This video tutorial is really to give you an idea how to maximize and use this meal planner to develop your own daily meal plans and keep track of your protein, carbohydrates, fats, calories, and also adjust the macronutrient ratios and portions. If this all sounds a bit foreign to you, don't worry, I'll explain it within this video. First off, let me give you a brief overview as to what this daily meal planner really is and how it can benefit you. I first started this when I was getting ready for a competition and used to write down all of the foods, protein, carbohydrates, and fats, and basically keep track of my daily intake so that I could make small adjustments the closer I got to the competition and tighten up my physique, burning just a little bit more body fat each week so my body would give more up. That worked great for me, but it took a lot of effort and a lot of time writing down and keeping track of all of my meals and the different foods. So sooner or later I developed this spreadsheet which allowed me to simply select on a certain food, simply type in how much of that food I was going to have, and it would show me the rest here: protein, carbs, fats, and keep track of everything for each meal and the total amount within the day. So this made it much easier for me and allowed me to really, play around with different macronutrient ratios, which you can see up here, the percentage of my overall calories and where they came from: protein, carbohydrates, and fats. And it allowed me to kind of keep track a lot easier on my calorie intake. So how can this benefit you? Well, if you're getting ready for a competition, a photo shoot, or really just want to have a greater understanding and be able to keep track of your food intake and your meals, this can work great for you. So let's start up at the top and I'll show you how we can really make use of this. First thing I believe you need to do is enter your weight, and this is in pounds. So sorry for everyone who works in stones and kilogram, but it just works better keeping it with pounds. So I've actually entered everything in. This is my actual diet that I would use for a competition. All of my meals are here, all of the amounts. If you're about this weight, you want to keep the same ratios here, simply print this out and there you go, you have a perfect meal plan to follow. If you want to adjust it based on your particular weight and your particular protein, carbs, and fat ratios, it's really easy to do. So I'll give you an example. And also bear in mind that anything that is italic, you can see up here, down here, here, you can change all of this. If you want to rename the meal, you can do that. If you want to change the time, you can do that. Everything else though is set. And if you make a mistake or you want to go back to the beginning, simply refresh the page and it will start back over as you see here. So let's give this a run through and I'll show you how we can maybe change it up. For example, I have here 175 pounds. You can see here 15 calories per pound of body weight. So these are the only two things you need to really start with. And I've given you an idea here that if your particular weight, which you should know, pretty easy to find out, depending whether you want to lose weight or gain weight, I'd say go within an 11 to 15 calories per pound or 16 to 21. So let's go with more of a weight gain example here. Let's say you are 162 pounds. So we enter that, hit enter. And calories, well, let's say you're a bit of a hard gainer, you struggle to put on weight, let's go more for that 19 region. So what this basically means is 19 calories per pound of body weight. And it already does the calculation over here, just over 3,000 calories. Now the ratio I have here, 40, 40, 20, I find works well for more of a maintenance, or if you're just getting into that dieting phase, it kind of works well to stick with this for 4 to 5 weeks. However, like I said, if you're struggling to put on any kind of weight, muscle, you might want to increase the carbohydrates. That's really the preferred source of energy for the body. So I found that a split of 35, 50, and 15, hit return, changes the amount of protein, carbohydrates, and fats that we then need throughout the day. You might be thinking that 50% of overall calories coming from carbohydrates is a bit too extreme. Well, when you look at the actual amount, 385 grams, that's not too extreme. And if we split that between 5 or 6 meals that we can see throughout the meal plan here, it's not a huge amount. I mean, we're looking at just under 60 there, 60, but I'll get to this in a little bit. If you want to be comfortable, go with 40, 40, 20. But if you're a hard gainer and you want to put on some muscle, at least some weight, then this is a pretty good ratio. Also, I want to add in that just eating these foods won't necessarily mean you gain muscle. It will allow your body that surplus of calories to be able to recover and rebuild the muscle, but you've got to put that stimulus in. You've got to be weight training, you've got to be having enough rest, you've got to be eating sensibly. This is just one part of the puzzle, but quite an important part. So up here we've already got our weight, calories per pound, and we've set our protein, carbohydrates, and fat ratio. So a lot of the work is done here. The next stage is, well, how many meals do I need to eat, and what foods and what amounts do I need to have in those meal times to get all of this? That's often the hard part that a lot of us get stuck at. Well, to make this easy, I've split this into 6 meals. The reason for that is 6 meals, 1 meal upon waking or soon after waking, and then 3-hour intervals. That gives your body enough time to really kind of digest, absorb, and make use of those nutrients, and then it's feeding time again. So we can simply look down here, and I'll show you later if you only want 3, 4, or 5 meals, how we can set that up too. So I've already programmed in all of the calculations. Protein here, this coding is hidden, you can see down here, and that is, it's already done for you. You don't need to worry about that. This is basically showing that our protein amount here, 269, is divided equally between each meal. This I find works the best. We give our body a set amount of protein at small portions throughout the day. Carbohydrates, well, let's skip that for now. Look at fats. Fats is also split evenly throughout each meal. You can see here fats and protein remain the same for each meal. Going back to carbohydrates, this is the only one that we're really changing at certain times, and we can see below here the reason why that is. Both protein and fats are basically 1/6, there's 6 meals, so 1/6 of this total amount on each meal. Carbohydrates, we can change that. So the reason behind this is carbohydrates is something that I feel the body needs more so at certain times. So we can see here at the meal planner, meal 1, breakfast time, I put 25% of our daily carb intake required for breakfast. And the reason for that is we've been fasting all night. Our body hasn't had any nutrients, any food while we've been sleeping, or at least I hope you haven't been eating at night. So when we wake up, it's important to get a little bit more carbohydrates into the body so the body can start to process and make use of them. Also, it helps regulate and normalize that blood sugar level, which is optimal for just functioning normally, especially if you're looking at gaining weight or putting the body into this kind of fat burning stage. You can see if we move down, meal 2, meal 3, and meal 4, which I call day meals. The reason for that is they're actually all the same macronutrient ratio. If you slide over here, surprise, surprise, you can see I've added notes for each meal as well as supplements, so a little bonus there. If we scroll up, you can see here meals 2, 3, and 4 all consist of the same macronutrient ratios and considered day meals by me. So basically that means these are all interchangeable. If you cook your foods the night before and you only want to cook one particular meal and eat it 3 times, you can do that. Meal 2 here, this spicy tuna and quinoa mix, has near enough the same exact macronutrient ratios than turkey and yam and brown rice. You can see the numbers don't quite match up here because, of course, I've already changed them up here. But that's okay. If we reset the page, everything will go back to normal. So there is some work to do on your behalf, and that is that you can see here if we've set the carbohydrates and fats and proteins up here, you need to adjust the amounts in grams here. So let me just finish off going down. Meals 2, 3, and 4 all have the same amount of carbohydrates, 15, and if you want to change that, simply click on it and adjust it. Although keep in mind, if you do have 6 meals, the total number you put in here for each one need to add up to 100. Reason for that is you can't have 30% carbs at breakfast and then 20% for meal 2, 20% for meal 4, 20% for meal 5. You're over 100%. You can't allocate more carbohydrates for those meals than you said you're going to have. So just make sure that at the end all of these tally up to 100, which these do. So don't change the actual carb percentage unless you really want to. These are set up to work perfectly. Meal 5, this is actually, I've set this for post-workout, but you can simply have this anytime after your post-workout, or if you don't have a workout, simply follow the same one of these meals, and if you want, just adjust the carbohydrate intake or spread this more evenly throughout the day. Seems a bit complex at first, but once you start to play around with it and get used to it, you kind of get to grips with it and really understand the benefit and how to work everything. Okay, let's go back up and kind of give you an example of, once we've changed the quantities up here, how we can change these. So breakfast, I've got turkey omelette and oats, and originally when I had 175 pounds and 15 calories per pound, this was set up perfectly that all of my amounts, these are in grams, so 160 grams of egg whites, might sound a lot, but I put here one large egg white is 33 grams, so that's basically 5 egg whites. You might have to weigh foods out for the first couple of days or weeks, but again, you'll soon get used to that, and if you want to then eyeball portions, you can. But so far we can see down here at the bottom where the mouse is that protein, we're pretty much smack on. So 44 grams there, we needed 44 grams, we don't need to change any of that. Where we do need to change is carbohydrates, because we increase the amount of carbohydrates needed throughout the day and therefore within each of these meals. So far it shows us that we're 30 grams under what we need to be. So to do that, I would probably go for one of the carbohydrate foods, oats here. If you want to select them, you can. I've got them all listed here. Food items, protein, it goes down, different types of proteins, carbohydrates, fats, some other foods down there too. But let's stick with oats. And we obviously need more oats, we need more carbohydrates, so let's just go in there at 100. Recalculates it for us. Oats, 100 now. We're only 4.5 grams literally under, but of course protein is within some of the oats, as is a bit of fat, and it's also increased it here. So you do need to play around with a few things. Give you an example here, we're going to increase the oats, 105. That's pretty much good, but we now have too much protein and too much fat. So let's take off some of the turkey there. Yeah, much better, and a little bit too much fat. If we look up, we can see where that fat is coming from. There's some in the oats, some in the flaxseed. I might want to increase the raspberries a little bit. Lower down the oats. Again, it takes a little bit of time to play around with, and then if I drop the flaxseed oil down to 2, there, we're at most 2 grams over on the fat, and we can make up for that down there. So you can see how you can manipulate the amount of food shown here in the food items to match up the numbers here that show what we need for our daily intake. And if we carry on doing this through each meal, meal 2, meal 3, meal 4, we'll see at the bottom here that it gives us a tally. Here. So obviously I haven't gone through meal 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 with our new macronutrient ratios, but if I did, and they all matched up, it would show me here that hopefully the foods that I'm eating, the meals, the amount of those foods within those meals and all of the protein, carbs, and fats, they would all add up and show me, hopefully, pretty near match. So I think we had 35, 50, 20. Obviously need to increase carbohydrates throughout my meals, but it shows up everything there. So that's how we can change our meals. If you want to simply zero out a meal, then you go to the top of our drop-down menu here. Still working on the meal planner, so it's not perfect, but it works and it does the job. So I select NA, and you can see it zeroes everything out regardless of what the amount grams here. So if you want to take out meal 2 and you only want to have effectively 5 meals throughout the day. Simply go through NA everything, and it will zero everything count, meaning this won't count, and you can readjust the numbers you see up here. So that's really the basis of the meal plan. Change the names, change the food items, the amounts, change the percentage of carbohydrates for each meal. And also down here I've included some other things. Click on Nutritional Value, you can see here all of the food items, the calories, protein, carbs and fats for each meal, and these are the items that you're selecting from that drop down menu. And we can move through. I've included a glycemic index table here, so all of the different carbohydrates, or the majority of them, and what their glycemic index is, how much carbohydrates and sugar you get from them, their GI rating, whether they fall within a high, moderate or low glycemic index, and a typical serving size showing you the glycemic load. And this is really what's important. How much of that sugar or the fast acting sugars really affect your blood sugar level based on the amount you eat. So you've got that there. And also I have a fiber table. This shows you the amount of fiber. So typically you want to aim for 25-30 grams of fiber throughout the day. This, you can see that, for example, for breakfast I had half a cup of broccoli, half a cup of asparagus, and half a banana down here. That would add up to about 7 grams of total fiber. Bingo. 5 or 6 of those or similar concoctions throughout the day. That's my 30 grams of fiber. And also gluten-free. So you can see all of the foods here that fall under gluten-free, and then a few items and food groups that may or do actually contain gluten. So if you're following a gluten-free diet, stay away from those. But really, you're going to be spending most of your time over here on the meal plan. Like I said, just move over to the right here. You can change your name. You don't want it to be called Rob's Lean Gains. You can change it to whatever you want. Muscle Gain Program. And then you can print this out and everything's saved. So there we have it. This is really this is work in progress. I'm going to be updating the additional food items here. So really, if you have a particular food item or supplement, which I'll be adding shortly, simply go down to our box here and let me know. And if you can do some of the work for me, show me the protein, carbs and fats for 100 grams. So this is raw, uncooked. If it's a protein powder, often it shows you for per serving 28, 32 grams. Work that out to be 100. That makes it really easy for me to enter that in. And then you know that if you were to select a protein powder from down here at the bottom and you have 2 scoops and you know that's 55 grams, you can see exactly how much protein, carbs and fats and include it there within your post-workout, which I've included here. Of course, you can rename that. So work in progress. Hopefully this can give you as much clarity on some of the food items and recipes that it has done for me. And one thing I'm also working on in the near future is I'll add down here a recipe list as well to allow you to actually see recipes and food groups that I've created, and also if you have some great combinations that meet certain protein, carbohydrate or gluten-free requirements, whatever they might be, then feel free to send them over, include them in this discussion tally down here, and I'll look at adding them. And I'll try and add them each week. So if you don't see yours added within the next couple of days, let me know, and normally at the weekend I spend some more time and just update this. So there is my daily meal planner. Again, if you have any ideas, suggestions, include them in the comments section below. And if you make some interesting or tasting recipes, then show me on Twitter. Hit me up on @RobRiches, hashtag, I don't know, Rob's Meal Planner, and maybe I'll repost and share a few of those recipes so we can build this up to be quite a neat nutritional database and help us whether we're getting ready for a competition, photo shoot, or like I said, just keeping tabs on the food groups and the macronutrient ratios that we're doing. So hope you enjoy it, and stay in touch, and I'll keep you guys posted on when we have new updates. Have a good one.